But for much of the year, it has looked as if we all underestimated how loony could be. Even our wonderful Dr. Obama has often seemed to be looking a little gobsmacked by the unsuspected depths of the loony factor in our collective American psyche. I mean, are you as astonished as I am by just how weird the world has gotten these days? It isn't only that our elected leader often doesn't seem to be particularly in charge. It turns out that nobody seems to be in charge, at least no grown-up. I don't think any of us were under any illusion that Congress would suddenly turn into an assembly of Socratic philosophers. But in the interests of the collective good, it did seem likely that we might see some sign of their inner adults emerge. Instead, again and again, our duly elected representatives have resembled 5-year-olds with oppositional defiant disorder. Actually, make that 5-year-olds with ODD having a food fight. Meanwhile, out in the hinterland, the mood seems crazier and crazier. By a logical process that escapes me, there are apparently millions and millions of people out there who believe with absolute conviction that Barack Obama is an intergalactic terrorist, originally born on the planet Zagon and smuggled to Earth to lead a conspiracy to turn the United States into a Martian, Venusian, Zagonese dictatorship, and to make matters even worse, to post UN guards at every home in the country. Really, if you want to get an idea of what the world would look like if everybody had mad cow disease, you ought to take a look at some of the YouTube videos of the tea parties. But there's something even worse than the tea parties themselves, which is that if you listen with an even slightly attuned therapeutic ear, they actually make a certain amount of sense. Tune into the fear, desperation, and resentment beneath the nuttiness, and you can actually begin to understand where they are coming from. In fact, you may even be there yourself. And then there is the whole fraught issue of money, the money you and I no longer have. Now, of course, any therapist who knew his salt had long suspected that managed care was a boondoggle designed to get as much money from our clients and give as little to therapists as possible without literally sticking us up at gunpoint. But all the managed care scams in the world can't begin to compete with the sheer lunacy of the massively crooked casino the financial world turned out to be. Rather than being run by cautious gray men wearing gray suits, speaking in soothing monotones and advising prudent investments, it turns out many of them were closer to mini versions of Bernie Madoff, a bunch of aging, paunchy men with the psychological makeup of wildly hormonal 15-year-olds on speed. But it gets even more bewildering than that. It used to be that we could all fall back on the comforting paranoia of our favorite conspiracy theories about the corporate, financial, and governmental behemoths with the most money and power who were pulling all the strings and were the true masters of the universe. But it turns out that even these Goliaths that don't know what's going on or what to do about it. In fact, the tougher the problem, the more everybody, including the biggest brains on the planet, just seem kind of befuddled. No wonder the Tea Partiers yearn for an earlier, simpler, smaller, friendlier, less complicated era, a time when everybody knew their neighbors. Government consisted mainly of town hall meetings. Everybody could recite the Constitution by heart. Politicians sacrificed individual political gain for the common good. The free market hummed smoothly along without a hitch, and there was a chicken in every pot, a station wagon in every garage, and a horse in every barn. Boy, I yearn for those times too. It's a shame they never existed, except in the fevered imaginings of that particularly American political class, the loud and the ignorant.